which symbolizes
advance in the current
This is the part 1
Her father.
There are rumors in town that Captain Shago has died and that Basilio is in prison. People speculate that Basilio will be exiled and murdered during the trip because January is a fatal month. It is when the 3 priests were hung in Cavite in January. As per Sister Penchang, the reason why Basilio is suffering is because he will not use the holy water if it's dirty. Other men who knew that Basilio is a good person think it's a friar trying to get revenge on Basilio because he rescued Julie. Sister Penchang says he doesn't regret kicking out Julie to not anger the friars, but she is angry about Julie being free because Julie made progress by praying and fasting for her. Sister Bali goes to Julie's house and tells that Basilio is in prison. At first, Julie did not believe her, but eventually she believed in her. When she wakes up after she fainted, she cries and thinks she should save Basilio. Julie thinks of Padre Camorra and how she has to go to him for help. The authorities have also imprisoned Tandang Salo in order to get Kabisang Talis to surrender. Padre Camorra said before that he could have Tandang Salo freed but had asked for sacrifices from Julie in return. He made her kiss his hand and he often tended to pinch her. Padre Camorra had also beaten men in the barrio who were serenading girls. Everyone in the village knows that the Kabisang Talis would be pardoned if Julie went to Padre Camorra. Julie has become sad and quiet since her family trouble started. She once asked Sister Bali if those who committed suicide went to hell, and Sister Bali said, of course. The relative tries to raise money for Basilio but only managed to garner 30 pesos. Julie gives Sister Bali 4 reales and deer meat. It is hunted by Tandang Salo to talk with the clerks, but the clerk says he can do nothing because Basilio is in Manila. The clerk says to see the Juans de Paz or the Justice of Peace. Sister Bali explained the problem to the Juez de Paz, but he says the only person who can save Basilio is Padre Camorra. The Juez de Paz advises Julie to speak with Padre Camorra in person.
Julie is afraid to go, but Sister Bali says she will accompany her. Julie refuses to go, thinking she did not make that sacrifice to pardon her father and should not make it to save Basilio. The relatives do not know what Padre Camorra would do to Julie. They laugh at her fears, thinking he has better options for girls. Julie wants advice, but Tandang Salo is silent and staring at his spear. The next afternoon, there is talk of shootings, so Julie decided to give herself up the next morning, then kill herself afterwards. The next morning, she changes her mind, and after several days, Julie is still waiting and thinks there might be a miracle. Julie has more nightmares about Kabisang Talis and Basilio dying. There's news that some prisoners were freed due to patrons, but she wonders who will be sacrificed. A traveler from Manila reports that all prisoners have been freed except Basilio. He was forced to sign a petition to ask for exile to the Carolines. Julie finds Sister Bali and says she is ready. She fixes herself and appears to be happy. She acts impatient as they approach to the convent. Julie becomes silent and loses her confidence. Julie shakes when she sees the convent and says they should go home. Sister Bali drags her, but Julie says no. Sister Bali eventually gives up and says they will go home, but Basilio will be exiled and shot on the way. That changes Julie's mind and enters the convent. At night, there are reports that a woman leaped to her death from the convent and that another woman ran out screaming. The woman who ran out screaming was Sister Bali. An old man, which is Tandang Salo, goes to the convent, but the people there do not let him in. He goes to the Gobernador Silio's house, but no one is there. He is told that the Gobernador Silio is at the convent, the Juez de Paz, is also at the convento, and so is the Teniente Mayor and Teniente of the Guardia Civil. Tandangselo returns to his barrio crying. At 8 p.m., more than 7 friars from other towns go to the convent to hold a meeting. However, Tandangselo disappears the next day with his spear.
Basilio, a very fair and compassionate person, even though he sends Simon for spending people with jewelry, he still offers to help Simon when he sees him in the forest of Ibarras. Julie, Juliana de Dios, the girlfriend of Basilio and the youngest daughter of Cabizang Tales, to claim her father from the bandits, she had to work as a maid under the supervision of Hermana Kenchang. Eventually, she was freed but committed suicide after Father Camora attempted to rape her. Padre Camora, the lustful parish priest of Piana, San Diego's adjacent town, who has long-time desires for young women. He nearly raped Julie, causing the latter to commit suicide. Cabizang Tales, Cabiza Telesdoro Juan de Dios, a former cabeza de barangay or barangay head of Sagpang, a barangay in San Diego's neighboring town Tiani, who resurfaced as the feared Luzon bandit Matanglawin. He is the son of Tandangselo and the father of Julie and Tiano. Captain Tiago was an influential businessman in San Diego and the father of Maria Clara, betrothing his daughter to Crisostomo Ibarra. Captain Tiago struggled to obey the will of affairs.
This chapter 30, entitled Julie, which symbolizes women in the past, of how powerless the women in the past 19th century and how devoted a woman can be. This gives us the realizations that in the face of the friars, Filipino women are just a mere servants who they can manipulate, taken advantage of. This importance of these chapters to the entire novel is to have insights of the mistreatment happening to the maid, a woman, or even a man in the hands of the friar.
So El Filibusterismo chapter 30 has some relevance in the current society of the Philippines. In the chapter, Julie tries to find a way to free Basilio from his imprisonment, for he has no protector nor friends. And now in the Philippines, we cannot deny this fact that if you have someone in your family, relatives, or even your friends connected to a government or someone who has greater power, you are most likely to be sent free from prison because you will be favored. I've heard many stories from last year. When they were catched by the tenants for not wearing proper masks, they are sent free from the consequences just because someone who have connections from their respective barangays set them free. Even politicians are most free to do what they want when they are close to the president because their dark side wouldn't be exposed. If you are privileged, you can get away from the situation, and this is the relevance of the chapter 30 to the current Philippine society.